Da-da-la-la-la. Welcome to episode 6 of Subject to Change, where previously I got shot.
Hey, you kind of had it coming, Crow.
I did so not have it coming. Mike the Seagull cried for days after that.
Crow, you just poured a bucket of water over his face to simulate tears. And
He still cried. In his soul, he cried.
Crow, it wiped off some of the paint you put on him. You know he's actually a flamingo.
He's not a flamingo. He's totally white. Aren't you white, Mike the Seagull? Yeah, I'm totally white. See?
Crow, that was just you. You're never going to be a ventriloquist at this rate, you know? Your mouth is always moving.
Me. Everyone's a critic. So, anyway.
Well?
Today I am one of your very humble hosts, Martin, Mr. Crow Anderson. Stop laughing. Take me seriously, damn it.
Yeah, right. Humble.
Here with my co-host.
Wait. Right, introductions. Sorry, I was recovering from I got my rib. I'm Anthony Poe, aka Rand Cossack, Baron Hat, and unfortunately I have to make sure that Crow doesn't eat after midnight, considering what happens. And that's one of the reasons why that tranquilizer happened.
Yeah, but we don't talk about that.
I believe we started this episode off by talking about it.
Well, you know, not about what happens after midnight. No one needs to know about that.
Yeah, they don't need to know what happened to Mike the Flamingo.
Seagull.
It's not a seagull,
He's
Crow.
a seagull. He's a majestic seagull.
Dude, after you poured that bucket of water on him, the top of his freaking head and neck is pink again.
It is not. Not anymore.
Yes, it is.
So anyway, I did
Really?
have...
You dumped baby powder on him now?
No.
Crow, it's floating off of him.
It's not.
There's a cloud around his goddamn head.
He's my friend.
Oh, dear Lord.
He's a good friend, because he's not going to leave, and he's not going to make fun of me, and he listens to me when I talk.
That'd be kind of difficult, considering you had his earlobes removed.
They don't have
I didn't even know
earlobes.
flamingos had them.
Seagulls don't have earlobes. Okay, so I had a subject I wanted to talk about, which is pet peeves in video games. And one of my pet peeves is whenever there's a science fiction game, like, for example, Dead Space. Dead Space did this, where it's on a space station, and there are windows, which if you punch will break. They're using ordinary glass windows in space.
You sure they're ordinary, though? I mean, normal glass doesn't survive going underwater, and there's a lot more pressure in space, dude.
I know,
Wouldn't
but
it be reinforced?
No, they're not, because you punch these windows, they break. And then you get swooped off into the freaking universe.
Oh, we do know that, Isaac Clarke fuels the power of a Falcon Punch behind his punches.
No, that's his stomp.
Either way, You can't stomp the windows.
Nobody can punch them. Like, bullets or punches or whatever, you will break these windows. Like, with ease. I hate when games do this. Because it makes no goddamn sense. Why you would even use glass in space? Like, if you had, like, a foot thick reinforced glass, that'd be one thing. But why even use glass? You have force fields. Why not use a force field?
Well, if the power goes out, then boom, there goes your force field.
That's why they run on a separate power source. And even then, you should have something between the force field. Like, what, for example, I think Star Trek did this, where it wasn't glass, it wasn't a force field, or rather, it was a force field, but between the two force fields was see-through aluminum, like a hyper-alloy aluminum thing that was very difficult to break. Happy Valentine's Day, by the way, people. Or, well, we're recording this on Valentine's Day.
Well, there goes the whole Sunday podcasting, huh?
Well, it's still Sunday.
Where?
But someone might be listening to this on Monday.
Then it wouldn't even be Valentine's Day then.
No, but we're recording it on Valentine's Day, thus makes it valid.
Right.
Right, so...
But, well, I understand from a logical standpoint that it doesn't make sense for the crap to be so flimsy in, games themselves. But in real life, in, space stations, they do have glass. After all, in the actual, I can't remember what the name of it, the actual space station that's currently, up in the sky right now, they have glass windows. I'm certain it's some kind of ultra reinforced glass,
I'm actually pretty
but it
sure
allows them to see through it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's actually not glass, because when you heat aluminum to a certain degree, it goes see-through, which I'm pretty sure is what they're using. It's not glass, it's actually metal.
I don't doubt the possibility. I mean, I've never, had the urge to look up the specs for a freaking, space station that's currently floating around the Earth.
Here's also the thing is, like, even if you make super reinforced glass, it's going to be thick, and it's also going to be very heavy. And you don't want that on something like, a space station that you need to get up the parts for. You want things to be very lightweight when it goes up there.
Well, when you're in space, there's no real, concern of weight.
No, but it's not just that. It's also pressure that you have to deal with. And glass does not take pressure very well.
Yeah, it was really bad in high school. Always got pushed around because it continually gave in to peer pressure. I apologize. That one was bad. That's a first.
But yeah, that's one of my great pet peeves is whenever I see glass in space. It bugs me. It so bugs me because it's one of those things like, why? Why would you do that?
In some games, they make it, a specific requirement to break it. To be able to break it, I mean.
Yeah.
Like, in a game called Warframe on Steam, there is glass in certain levels because
Free to play, by the way.
space. Yeah, and it's very fun. Space Ninjas, play it. But, there's, certain levels where you go and invade an enemy's, flying space station or ship or whatever the hell, and there are areas where there is indeed glass that, lets them see outside. And normal gunfire doesn't break it. If you, keep shooting at it, nothing's going to happen. You can bring a shotgun and blast it, and nothing will occur. What you have to do is use heavy weaponry. So if you throw something, very explosive at it, or you use armor penetration on it, then you can break it. And if you do that, well, then there goes your oxygen, and your shields start just being torn the hell off of you until you go and emergency shut down the armor. Well, yeah, you're gonna die at that rate. But it's still interesting that it's breakable, but you have to be specifically trying to break it.
Yeah. Like, actually, a series that did this is a bit of a tangent, and it's not a game, but a TV series. A TV series that did this perfectly well, which we touched on before, is Doctor Who. Where in Doctor Who, they had a type of glass on a space station, but this was super strong. It could take, like, the direct sunlight from, the sun, right? Super strong sunlight. I know, I worded that horribly.
Deal with it. The sunlight from the moon.
Yeah, but it could take the concentrated heat of the sun without breaking. I mean, it would start to fracture, and eventually it would completely break. But once the sun or you got the shield back up that blocked out the sun, the glass would start repairing itself.
Yeah.
That I like.
The heat shielding on that one satellite.
Yeah. Like the glass wouldn't instantly break. And if it started
That's some tough grass.
I know. And if it started to crack, then it would auto-repair itself afterwards. That's good. That's good science fiction. Just glass on a space station is not good science fiction.
Yeah, it was probably some kind of like nanofiber, self-replicating, whatever.
Yeah, it was some kind of nano thing. Science.
Which can be easily shut down.
I can't wait for the day when we have proper nanotechnology.
Well, it actually already exists.
I know, but not in like mass-produced quantities or anything.
Yeah, most governments wouldn't want it to be.
Well, I'm pretty sure they would want. It's not ethical.
Well, in that respect, I mean that they wouldn't want it to be, as in to allow common people to have access to it. Because if they have it, well, then they've got a monopoly on it, and they can use it for whatever the hell they want.
Yeah.
After all, government research, it's to better just the government, right? I mean, not the citizens.
I know, but in some cases I have to agree. Like, certain things the public should not have access to.
Oh yeah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want, someone with access to the ability to split an atom at a, moment's notice.
Yeah, that'd be kind of bad.
Hey
The
Bob,
world,
watch
yeah, the
this!
world would not survive long that way.
Not as long as Florida's still around.
So
But
yeah,
yeah.
what other pet peeves in games are there? I mean,
Uh,
I have some.
in
What about you?
in certain games, like say, I don't know, Prototype. I've played the first one, I beat it, but at certain points in the story, when you're pretty much infiltrating these government facilities to try and absorb their scientists because they might have some of your memory that you've lost. And when everything goes foobar, because it always does every time, there's no way to go through the entire thing without making an alert. At least to my knowledge. I've never been able to. I've done my best. But when the enemies start, rolling in, there's the normal soldiers, the grunts with machine guns and so on and so forth. And then at some point, suddenly they have super troopers that they bring in that just kick your ass. It's just like, wait, if you guys had these the entire time, why are you just sending in standard soldiers? Why not send in nothing but the super soldiers to take care of the infected zones and, well, me, since I'm apparently such a danger?
Yeah.
Why are you holding these guys back?
Yeah,
That's one thing that's another thing that annoys me so much. Why do bad guys or villains or antagonists always keep their best stuff in reserve until the end?
I have no idea. Like, why would you not start with your best stuff to give yourself the biggest chance possible?
Yeah,
Which also
if
gives you
there's
more time to create more of the best stuff.
yeah, if there's a quote unquote, prophesized hero or some shit that's appeared, your proper, course of action is go and stomp them out immediately.
Yeah.
Do it yourself if you have to. Don't say, "Oh, I could kill you, but I'll do it later." Follow the villain's guide.
Yeah.
The actual, rules of being a good villain.
They specifically
Make sure the
state,
hero is dead.
they specifically state, and I quote, "Kill the enemy."
Yeah. And
Don't strap them to your obviously large death cannon cyber disc buzzsaw machine trap. Good luck finding a picture of that. But yeah, just
And make sure you have a 5-year-old on your staff. And whenever you come up with an evil plan, run it by him. If he can spot a freaking mistake in it, then scrap the plan, start over again,
Yeah.
and give him a cookie.
unless you're the Joker,
Oh, the Joker's a 5-year-old
sort of.
at heart, somewhere.
Yeah. Let's see other pet peeves in games. Like, oh, I got one. I got a good one.
Was it?
Let's say you have a sneaking game, like a game where you have two separate ways of doing something, right?
Mhm.
One where you can sneak through an area and one where you can just hack and slash. And let's say you're going for the sneaky route.
Right.
A thing that becomes very annoying in games like these are long load times. Because if you fuck up the sneaking, you're going to have to reload the save, and if that takes you an average of like a minute, good God, you're going to rage.
And then you're going to decide to not be stealthy.
Exactly, and then everything is just dead.
Yeah. Makes me think of the Deus Ex series. In that game, I decided right from the beginning in Deus Ex Human Revolution, I was going to try and go the non-lethal route. I initially chose the long-range tranquilizer dart sniper rifle, which gave me good training for against you, and I went through, and as time went on, I found that the sniper rifle really wasn't good. It's useful in its own ways, making people fall asleep from afar, but I found that the short-range version instead, the stun gun, oh my god, it was so much more useful. They make it seem like, oh yeah, long-range takedowns that are non-lethal, those are totally an option. But then if you ever find this stun gun and you sneak up behind someone, boom, instantly they're knocked out, rather than having like a 2 to 4 second delay between the dart hitting and them falling asleep.
Yeah, that's
So I would
another,
just
like, actually, you reminded me of something else. Another great pet peeve of mine is where the developers in the game will say that every option is equally valuable or valid,
mm,
and it turns out they are not.
yeah,
Or like
yeah.
every choice you can make is equally valid, but don't be a fucking idiot. It's like,
hmm
okay, so not everything is valid.
Stupidity is not an option in this round.
Apparently so. Like a game where everything is valid would be a game like Skyrim.
But that's the problem. Everything is valid.
Yeah,
There's
you
too
don't have
much decisions.
exactly. Because if you tell
I
me, like, you know, if you Minecraft is a good example here. Like, part of the appeal of Minecraft. Well, I don't enjoy Minecraft, but I understand the appeal of it. Is the process of gathering ore and building stuff. Like, you're making an effort to gather materials.
Yeah,
So,
it's
and
essentially
you,
the ultimate Lego
yeah,
blocks.
and you get great ideas while you're doing this, right? Because you're gathering these things, and once you've built it, it makes it worth the effort. And if you
hmm
just, but then you have like Gary's mod where you have everything available all the time. You're just like, you're not going to think of anything.
hmm
So you're spoiled for choice, basically.
In Skyrim, I currently have 89 hours clocked into that game, and I have not beaten it. I have not finished the main storyline. I don't even remember where I was in the main storyline. Because I feel like there's so many things that I'm going to miss if I try to continue the storyline.
Yeah,
And that makes me think, okay, well, I'll just do this side mission, and then I'll just do this one, and then I'll just do this one, and then I'll go take a look over there, and oh, hey, there's a dragon, I better chase it. And yeah, whenever I actually load up Skyrim and I start sitting down and playing it, I get really drawn into it. I have a lot of fun with it, even just wandering around and doing whatever. But then the minute that I actually close the game after I've finished my gaming session with it, I just lose all interest in it. I suddenly have no urge to pick it back up later.
yeah. No, and it's like
Uh,
I understand the interest and the appeal and even the immersion that can come with wherever you go, something can happen.
hmm
But again, it's like for me, if I don't have an incentive to do anything, if there is no clear cut reason why I should do something, there's nothing stopping me from just wandering up into the hill and sitting in a cave. Like, I beat the game! Da da
Oh
da!
yeah, then you've beaten Hermit Simulator 2012.
Mm.
That thing
But,
was a sleeper classic.
oh yeah, absolutely. But,
10 out of 10 for me. But yeah, if there's no driving force, no real reason to continue the main story, well, why should I?
yeah, like, there's no motivation other than what you create for yourself. But if that's the case, how am I supposed to empathize with the character? And I know it's a role playing game, that you are the character. But I could never get into games like that. I need a character I can project onto.
hmm
Otherwise, I have nothing to empathize with or sympathize with or feel for or feel against even.
Yeah,
And another
because
thing with Skyrim is there's no clear-cut villain in it. I mean, there's the dragons and whatnot, but
yeah,
I
and even
never
then,
felt
not
like
all.
there was a villain to the story.
Even then, not all the dragons are bad, but supposedly there's some apocalypse dragon that threatened the past, so their only course of action was to throw it into the future so they wouldn't have to worry about it in the past. And my god, that's a stupid thing to do, by the way.
Shove it under the
But
carpet and say that's it.
yeah, pretty much. I I just had no interest because there was never any sign of this dragon. No indication or hints that it was here, other than, oh, look at the scrolls, there's
Yeah.
signs of this prophecy and rabba 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 rabba.
And it's also the
So,
fact that everyone's saying, "Oh, it's the coming end of days, like winter is coming," kind of thing, right? With the
mm,
dragons and everything. But you can spend hundreds, literally hundreds of hours doing side quests, and nothing will happen to the world you're in. Like there is no sign of this coming apocalypse.
yeah, there's no increasing threat that if you ignore it, that things will escalate. Yeah, they say that, oh, it's coming, but then if you go and talk to them like 100 hours later, they'll still say, oh, it's coming.
Yeah, exactly. There's no progression of time. And that's the case for a lot of games but like that. You can dick around for hundreds of hours and the quest won't go anywhere. No, it's so unrealistic. But in a
It's
game like
understandable.
Skyrim, which is supposedly this living, breathing world, and nothing about it feels alive to me.
I know.
Like
Oh, put a
everything
bucket over
stays the
someone's
same.
head.
Everything will always stay the same.
Just put a bucket over someone's head, then you can rob their store clean and you'll get away scot-free.
Yeah, and part of it is that it's too open-ended for its own good. And it
Hmm.
was actually Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation. He made a really good point about this. Like, if you made it, like, think of it as a book, and it had multiple things in it, but because of the nature of the book, you could read anything
Hmm.
at any point. None of it could be connected. You just end up with a really boring book. Because
Yeah.
there's no beginning, there's no middle, and there's no end. There's
Yeah.
no arc.
I don't. I can't say I'm a fan of that kind of stuff. I understand the appeal of open-ended games like this, and I can appreciate it for that. But no matter how much I try, I just can't get myself to finish them.
Yeah.
It just loses my interest over time. And that's really unfortunate because I know there's some really good stuff there, but
I love the
I can't
idea of
be damned.
I love the idea of hunting legendary weapons, and you gain all this really cool loot, and you defeat evil things and whatnot, but it just feels
Yeah.
like I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, I got a freaking holy flaming sword from a goddess, apparently. And it is the only, real weapon that I use for the most part. I have other ones that I sometimes use, but even then,
It has no real impact on anything.
yeah, it was just a side quest in the long run. And as time went on, I found better weapons. It's just like, wow, so a blade granted to me by a goddess is suddenly outranked by something I just found on, I don't know, a random bandit.
Hmm.
Well, some legendary item you gave me, lady.
Yeah, so that's like my problem with Skyrim. There is no progression, regardless of what you do. There's no real progression to anything other
Hmm.
than building up your character stats, and you can get a home and fill it with armor and stuff. And I guess
You
that
can have a
is,
family.
yeah, I guess that can be rewarding in its own way. But to me, it's like I have no vested interest or motivation in any of it.
Hmm. There's, for all its faults, though, there are still good points to the game, but eh,
Yeah, it's one of
just
those
not
things.
enough to
Like I
draw me
will,
to
I will happily admit that it's not a bad game. It's
it. Hmm.
absolutely not a bad game, but
Yeah.
it's not something that I like because of how I immerse myself in games. And that's one of the things. Like, someone will find Skyrim really immersive. I will find Tetris really immersive.
Sometimes simplicity is key,
Yeah, like
and in Tetris's case, that's an amazing game because it's so simple, but it's fun.
the most immersive game I have ever played, like ever. One of my favorite games of all time is Papers, Please. Oh my god, I adore that game. Like, it is so absorbing. Love it.
Yeah, I've only seen people play it or, glanced at, previews of it. I've never played it because it doesn't look like something that I would be, really held by, but I can acknowledge that there's a lot of entertainment to be had in that game.
Yeah. Like, seriously, some of the best indie games, or rather, some of the best games right now are indie games. Indie game
Hmm.
market is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. One pet peeve, though, that I have with some games is for all that they say, they don't explain anything. Like, in some games, people make it seem so simple how to do something, and then when you try to do it for the first time, there's no indication of how. Like in a game called Wakfu, there's a crafting system in it and a gathering system in it. It's a free-to-play MMO, by the way. You can do a subscription for, premium bonuses, but it's the free version is the Asian free version is everything unlocked compared to the North American version, and it's in English. But you can in the game it says that, oh, if you choose this gathering profession, you will not be able to craft, or if you choose this crafting profession, you will not be able to gather, which is an old mistranslation because you can do everything. You can be a baker, a weapon maker, a long-range weapon maker, an armorer, etc., an herbalist, but the game specifically tells you, oh no, you can't. Yes, you can. All you have to do is go talk to the other NPCs or talk to that NPC, and you can get every freaking profession in the game immediately, free of charge.
Yeah,
And
I can see how that could be really annoying.
and then when it's just so confusing on, oh, well, you need this item to build this item to build that item into that item to create the item you wanted. It's just like, oh dear God, this crafting is so convoluted and it's not actually explaining it precisely what I'm supposed to do or where to find this shit. It just says, oh, you need, I don't know, go ball wool or, I don't know, peewee feathers.
Kiwi
So where do I...
feathers?
Yeah, they're these little multicolored birds.
Sounds
They're rather
horrible.
annoying to fight. But it is fun watching them explode if you're using certain characters. But yeah, so the crafting system, I understand that complexity can be good and having lots of options, but it's overly complex, and
Yeah.
a lot of the abilities are out. Their descriptions are outdated, so they say, "Oh, it does this," but instead it actually does that. But you won't find that out until you use it,
Yeah,
and that's
I
just
like
so
games
frustrating.
games that tell you, do this, but then they don't tell you how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I know a
That
lot
can.
of early hack and slash games. I know the first Devil May Cry did this, where it tells you, use this to get into the next room. But you
Yeah.
don't know where that thing is. So you scoured like the entire freaking map for it. And then it turns out you already had it in your inventory. You were just never notified of having it.
Yeah,
Or
that's one
like,
thing I find hilarious in hindsight.
or where it will tell you like swing across this chasm, and it doesn't tell you how to swing across the chasm. So you hit every single button, like how do I swing this chasm, like blah blah blah, and it turns out all you have to do is jump over the edge, and it will automatically do it. But then again, every instinct in your head as a gamer tells you jumping off the edge is a dumb idea because every
I
time
know.
up until that point, it has resulted in death.
Or where it leads to a secret where you're supposed to jump off a seemingly suicidal ledge.
Yeah.
That's one thing. With things like that, when they occur, and I go around and I explore every freaking inch to try and figure out what the hell I'm supposed to do, when I finally figure out that it was so simple, at first, I'll just be fuming because of how
Yeah.
annoying it was, but then afterwards, just like, oh, I was such an idiot. That was hilarious.
Like at some points in games where you have to like, it's the age-old thing: jump from A to B, and you can't do it. Like for some ungodly reason, you're just like an inch short. Like you're so goddamn close, and then it
Mhm.
turns out it's a point that you can't reach until later in the game when you have a double jump.
Yeah.
But it's just close enough to where you think that you just might make it, but you think you're doing it wrong. But it turns out you need a double jump. Like, oh my god! I
Yeah,
will rage so hard!
as years have gone by, I've found, ways to cheat the system, sequence breaking, and in DMC Devil May Cry, there was actually an instance of that. I had a jump and an air dash, but I needed the double jump to reach a certain ledge, but I just couldn't reach it by an inch, and I was just like, crap, how do I do this?
Yeah.
So eventually, I pretty much MacGyvered my way through.
Yeah, I
I
love, like,
jumped I jumped, air glided, and then I swung my weapon, and it got me that tiny little inch of space that I needed,
yeah,
and made
because
me
all of a
land.
sudden your character model is glitched to the point where it counts as you're being on top of that ledge. Because swinging the sword moves you like a couple of pixel forwards.
I know.
And
I
it's
thought,
just enough. Like, I love how when you game for long enough, like, in your mind, instinctively you know you can break this point if you do it just right. And then you do it. And, it doesn't count for anything. Because you still have to go back down. But, like,
yeah,
yes, I did it. I fucking beat it.
yeah. In the back of your mind as well, if you've been gaming long enough, you start to think, well, wait, did the designer make it this way specifically?
Yeah.
Were they doing it to make this like a hidden area that you seemingly can't get to unless you figure out how to MacGyver your way through?
But the worst parts of that is where you're dealing with it. There's a ledge, you just can't reach it. You're thinking maybe I should come back later, but I might just do it if I'm MacGuffin my way up there. And finally you MacGuffin your way up there, and it's just a ledge. Like there's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a wall. Like it's just part of the scenery. There's nothing there. No road forward, no secret, no nothing. You just MacGyvered your way up to scenery. That's the
Yeah.
worst part. Hey.
But
yeah, I can tell time's up, man. I'm looking at the screen.
are you in my head?
No, you're sharing your screen on Skype.
What the hell are you talking about?
Oh well.
Crow?
I have done nothing.
Have you been hanging out with Uncle Cthulhu again?
No.
Crow, your tentacles are showing.
No, don't look at me.
God damn it, Crow. You know, at this rate, I am indeed gonna have to call that specialist.
No, don't call the specialist. He's mean.
You know that the last time... Crow, you know the last time this happened?
It's not my fault that I ate his face.
Crow, you specifically... The minute you met him, you said, I'm going to eat your face,
I
and it will be delicious.
not. I did
Crow,
not.
it's recorded.
Damn it.
Well,
Are you gonna
Crow's
sedate me now?
mind-bending abilities aside, we hope you guys, enjoyed this episode of Subject to Change.
You can find me
I'm gonna
on
go
Twitter.
and, get the holy water and the restraints. And, well,
Can I
hopefully
not
we'll see
drink
you
it?
guys next time.
Can I
Who
not?
says you're gonna drink it?
Because one time you forced me to drink it, then it hurt my insides.
Crow, you drank it through your earlobes. You shouldn't even have those.
Okay.
Where did you get those?
You can find me on the Norse Crow at Twitter. You can find him at Rankossack on Twitter. I'm just gonna
Crow? Whose earlobes did you take?
be gentle.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you want to, keep track of us, you can subscribe. And if you have any thoughts, leave them in the comments below. But for now, Crow needs to take his medicine.
I don't like my medicine.
The medicine doesn't like you, Crow.
Good night, people. Pray for me.
Won't that just make it hurt worse?
Good night.
See ya.